A day that shook the earth and swallowed a city. Picture yourself standing on a quiet street, the sun dipping low over the horizon, the salty breeze from the bay brushing your face. Then, in an instant, the ground beneath you trembles violently, buildings sway like reeds in the wind, and a deafening roar rises from the sea. On September 28, 2018, this wasn't just a nightmare. It was the brutal reality for the people of Palu, Indonesia. A 7.5 magnitude earthquake tore through Sulawesi, unleashing a tsunami with waves up to 6 meters high and a rare phenomenon called soil liquefaction that turned solid ground into a deadly flowing mud. Over 4,300 lives were lost, countless homes vanished, and damages reached $1.5 billion. Yet, from the rubble and waves, stories of survival rose like faint whispers of hope, begging the questions. What kept them alive? And are we ever truly ready for nature's unpredictable fury? Today, I'll take you into the heart of Palu through the eyes of Sari Wijaya, a survivor who faced the unthinkable. Ready to confront the raw truth? Stick around. This one's a wild ride.
Where did the chaos begin? The story of Palu's disaster didn't start with a bang. It crept up silently on the morning of September 28, 2018. Seismologists detected minor tremors off the coast of central Sulawesi. Nothing unusual for a region perched on the volatile ring of fire, but at 6:02 p.m. local time, the earth unleashed its wrath. A 7.5 magnitude quake struck, its epicenter just 80 kilometers north of Palu, a bustling coastal city of over 300,000 people. Within minutes, the shaking triggered a cascade of horrors. Buildings collapsed, roads split open, and a tsunami raced toward the shore at speeds topping 800 kilometers per hour. Warnings blared. But for many, they came too late or not at all. As communication lines snapped, what made this disaster uniquely terrifying wasn't just the waves, it was the ground itself turning traitor. In areas like Balaroa and Potobo, a phenomenon called liquefaction kicked in. Saturated soil, shaken by the quake, transformed into a liquid-like sludge. Entire neighborhoods slid downhill. Houses sank, and streets became rivers of mud, swallowing everything in their path. By the time the water receded and the shaking stopped, Palu was unrecognizably city, scarred by nature's triple threat. Quake, wave, and earth turned liquid. This wasn't just a natural event. It was a wake-up call louder than any siren. It showed us that disaster can strike in ways we never imagined, leaving behind a haunting lesson. Preparation isn't just about expecting the expected, it's about bracing for the impossible. Expanded narrative, Sari Wijaya's story. Now, let's step into Sari Wijaya's world. Imagine a young woman, 29 years old, her dark hair tied back in a messy bun, standing in her small kitchen as the aroma of frying fish fills the air. Sari, a schoolteacher in Palu's Potobo neighborhood, is laughing with her 6-year-old son Rian, who's doodling at the table. It's a Friday evening, the kind where the week's worries start to fade until they don't. "I'm sorry, Wijaya," she says, her voice steady but laced with a tremor of memory. "I'd lived in Palu my whole life. Earthquakes, we'd felt them. Before little shakes, nothing big. When the ground started moving that day, I thought, oh, it'll pass. I was so wrong." The shaking began subtly, a low rumble that made the plates rattle. Then, it roared into a full-blown quake. The walls cracked, the floor buckled. Sari recalls, "I grabbed Rian and ran outside, thinking we'd be safer there. But outside was no sanctuary." She saw her neighbors screaming, houses tilting, and then the unthinkable. The ground beneath her feet began to move. Not just shake, but flow like a river. It was like the earth turned to soup, she says, her eyes wide. Our house slid forward, twisting, sinking. I saw my neighbor's home disappear into the mud, just gone. Clutching Rian, Sari sprinted toward a concrete water tower near Batha, only thing still standing tall. "I don't know how we made it," she admits. "The mud was sucking up my legs, pulling me down. But I kept thinking, not my boy, not today." They climbed onto the tower's base, a tiny island in a sea of chaos. From there, she watched the tsunami hit waves crashing over the shore a kilometer away, swallowing cars and shacks. The sound was deafening, crashing water, cracking wood, people crying out. She says, I held Rian so tight, I could barely breathe, whispering to him, we're okay, even though I didn't believe it. For hours, they clung to that tower through the aftershocks, the darkness, the eerie silence that followed. Rian was shivering, asking for his toys. His dad, Sari says, her voice breaking. Her husband, Donnie, had been at the market downtown. She wouldn't learn until days later that he didn't make it. We had no food, no water, just each other. I kept looking at the stars, praying someone would find us. Dawn broke, and with it came a fisherman in a small boat, navigating the flooded streets, saw us, waved, and shouted, hold on. Sari recalls, when he pulled us into that boat, I collapsed, sobbing. Rian just stared, too stunned to cry. Survival wasn't the end. Sari lost her home, her husband, her sense of safety. We stayed in a tent camp for weeks, she says. Mud everywhere. No clean water, just grief. But Rian, he kept me going. Draw pictures in the dirt, smiling, like he still saw hope. Today, Sari lives in a rented room in a nearby town, teaching again, piecing together a new life. I tell this story, she says firmly, because people need to know. The earth can betray you, but you can't let it break you. Lessons from Palu's triple disaster, misconceptions, realities, and true takeaways. Sari Wijaya survived the horrific disaster in Palu, but what kept her and her son Rian alive? Luck played a big role. She happened to be near a sturdy water tower, and a fisherman showed up just in time to rescue them. But it wasn't just that. Sarah's quick decisions and survival instincts were also key. Let's break this down through each misconception, reality, and lesson to understand why she made it through and what we can learn from her experience. 1. Misconception. The ground is always solid. Before the disaster, Sari and her neighbors trusted the ground beneath their feet. We're used to small tremors, she thought. But the earth never gave way. Palu. The idea of soil liquefaction was a distant concept, not a daily concern. Reality. The earthquake turned solid ground into flowing mud, swallowing entire neighborhoods. Experts later found that building on soft waterlogged soil amplified the disaster. Hundreds died because they never expected the earth to betray them. Why Sari survived. Luck placed Sari near the water tower structure on firm ground that didn't get swept away, but her smart decision to run there as soon as she saw the ground shifting, instead of staying home or fleeing farther, was crucial. Her instinct to seek high, stable ground saved her and Rian's lives. Real lesson. Knowing your local geology is a matter of survival. Soft soil near water is a risk. If you live in a similar area, head to high solid ground the moment an earthquake hits. Sari was lucky to have the tower nearby, but you can proactively identify your own tower, a concrete building, a hill, and move there instantly. Don't wait for the ground to collapse before acting. 2. Misconception. Tsunamis need time to build. Sari once thought tsunamis took time to arrive. The sea's a kilometer away, she reasoned, assuming distance was a safety buffer. Many coastal residents think the same. Reality. The tsunami slammed into Palu just 10 minutes after the quake, faster than anyone could outrun. Narrow bays amplified the waves, and a broken warning system left people unprepared. Sari saw the water surge in before she could even process it. Why Sari survived. Luck had her on the tower before the waves hit minutes later, and she and Rian might have been swept away. But her decision to bolt outside the moment the quake started, rather than staying indoors, gave her a chance to escape the tsunami. She didn't know it was coming, but her instinctive action put her in a safer spot. Real lesson. Immediate reaction is everything. Near the coast during an earthquake, don't wait for a warning. Run uphill as soon as the shaking stops. Sari's timing was accidental, but you can make it deliberate. Know your escape route. Don't hesitate. 10 minutes could be the line between life and death. 3. Misconception. One disaster at a time is bad enough. Sari only braced herself for an earthquake. I thought it'd just be shaken, then over, she said. Most people imagine a single threat, not 3 at once. Reality. Palu was hit by an earthquake, tsunami, and liquefaction, each worsening the others. Collapsing homes trapped people as waves arrived, and mud engulfed those who escaped the water. Over 4,300 couldn't withstand this deadly chain reaction. Why Sari survived. Luck kept the tower beyond the reach of waves and mud. But Sari's choices mattered too. She didn't go back home for belongings or to find her husband. A heartbreaking but wise call. Focusing on protecting Rian and holding her ground helped her outlast all three threats. Real lesson. Prepare for a cascade of disasters, not just one. An earthquake might trigger a tsunami or landslide. Stock supplies, food, water, flashlight for days and know all the risks in your area. Sari survive by staying put. You need a multi-layered plan to avoid being caught off guard. For misconception. Help will come quick. Sari believed rescue would arrive fast. Palu's a port city, surely there are boats, planes, she thought, relying on its coastal reputation. Reality. Roads were destroyed, bridges collapsed, and aid took days to reach remote spots. Sari waited overnight on the tower. Others waited a week. Overwhelmed systems and shattered infrastructure slowed everything down. Why Sari survived. Luck brought a fisherman passing by in a boat. But Sari's resilience played a part. She stayed calm, shielded Rian, and didn't give up despite exhaustion. Choosing not to leave the tower and wander in the dark kept her safe until help arrived. Real lesson. Rely on yourself before expecting rescue. Aid can be delayed. Prepare an emergency kit. Water, food, first aid for at least 72 hours. Sari had nothing but willpower. You can ease the hardship by being ready. Don't count on others showing up right away. 5. Misconception. It'll never happen here. Sari grew up with minor quakes, unbothered, big disasters. But somewhere else, she thought. Like many in Palu, until the earth and sea proved her wrong. Reality. No place is completely safe. Palu had been calm with gentle tremors, but the ring of fire spares no one, from rich to poor. Over 206,000 lost their homes. Disasters don't discriminate. Why Sari survived. Luck positioned her near the tower. But her quick realization that things were spiraling out of control spurred her to act. Instead of deny, she didn't wait for it to blow over. She ran, and that made the difference. Real lesson. Always assume you're next in line. Research your local risks, earthquakes, floods, whatever, and practice plans with your family. Sari survived, thanks to her swift response. You can turn luck into proactive preparation. Don't let complacency be your downfall.
The end. Or a new beginning? Sari Wijaya stands today as a testament to human grit. A woman who stared into the jaws of a triple disaster and refused to let it claim her or her son. Palu took my home, my husband, my old life, she says, her voice a mix of sorrow and steel. But it couldn't take my fight. Every time I look at Rian, I see a reason to keep going, to rebuild, to teach, to warn others. Her story isn't just a tale of survival. It's a mirror held up to all of us. The earth shook, the sea rose, the ground melted. Yet Sari found a way through, not just by luck, but by choices made in the heat of chaos. This isn't about fear, it's about power, the power we have to prepare, to act, to defy the odds. Palu's scars whisper a truth we can't ignore. Nature doesn't wait for us to be ready. It strikes hard, fast, and without mercy. But here's the kicker. You don't have to be a victim. Sari didn't know the full scope of what was coming, yet she ran, she climbed, she held on. You can know. You can be ready. So what's stopping you? Right now, grab a pen, map out your escape route, pack that emergency kit, food, water, flashlight, the works. Talk to your family, your neighbors, your community. Don't let the next quake, wave, or flood catch you off guard. Sari's story isn't just hers. It's yours, mine, ours. The question is, will you sit there, hoping it'll never happen? Or will you stand up and say, not today? The clock's ticking. Act now or regret it later. Stay tuned for more stories that shake you awake, because the next one might just save your life.